I'm a true believer in the power of storytelling. Stories are not a mere recollection of the events we experience. Stories are a vehicle for discovery and reflection that can help us understand who we are today, how we got here, and how to chart a course to a better future. Welcome to the Infidelity Chronicles. My name is Dr. Talal H. Al-Salim. I'm the creator of Systematic Affair Recovery Therapy and the founder of the Infidelity Counseling Center. In this season of the docuseries, you're going to meet Ryan and Maria, a brave couple who have embarked on a courageous journey of healing from infidelity. The couple has experienced emotional and sexual affairs throughout the course of their relationship, and they were very gracious to share their story with us to help others understand some of the many causes of infidelity and the challenges of the recovery process. I hope that you gain some valuable lessons from their story. Enjoy.
Well, today was a really shitty day. We've been talking better, and the communication thing has been a really big issue for us, and we've been talking better, and today I managed to offend him this morning or something, and he just let it stew all day, and it kind of blew up just after I got off work, and probably a little bit more emotionally raw than I should be for this, but
yeah.
The communication is the problem. He doesn't hear what I say. He hears what he thinks he hears, and I can't convince him. And when I try and tell him, no, that's not what I said, it seems like it makes it worse. It affects everything because we can't talk about anything. I can't work through anything with him and try and get past some of the issues between the two of us because he misunderstands what I say and what I mean. Listening to the book, because I did the audiobook, listening to the book was really hard for me because I had to listen to it from both perspectives because he cheated on me too. And he's been lying to me, and it was really triggering for me to listen to that because it made me realize a lot of the stuff in our relationship that had been wrong for so long. And trying to work through that, it's hard because it triggers him to try and talk about stuff, to try and work through stuff. And I'm hoping that this weekend will be better for actually getting through stuff in a guided manner and having better understanding between the two of us. I'm distracted at work. I lose my train of thought. I can't focus. Kind of chronically overwhelmed because my work is very demanding. and I don't get any break at home, I have to watch what I say, how I say it, what I like. There's even times that me breathing, like I'll take a big deep breath and, well, what's the matter? What's wrong? You breathed funny. No, I just took a deep breath. It's okay. But he watches me so intently, and he's constantly misinterpreting what I say and having to be in charge at work all the time and then constantly thinking about what I'm doing it's taken a toll on me. I've been really stressed. I've had problems focusing at work and keeping shit straight, things that shouldn't be an issue to keep the details straight. I forget things. Unfortunately, I probably take it out on my son a lot more than I should because he's just being a little boy, but I just can't handle whatever that stimulus is. It gets to me. I don't have time for anybody. I don't know if you just heard my phone go off, but that was work. I've tried reaching out to my two closest friends. I have always considered them my sisters, and they misunderstand what's going on, and it's not worth the effort to try and get them to understand that, like, I have a couple friends here in town that they're just there for me. You know, they understand when I need to call and basically just scream for a minute and get a little bit of it out. But it's affecting my relationships with my son for sure. And I hate that. It's not his fault. That it's gonna be the end. That the last year won't matter. How much I care, how much I've tried. Working through my own stuff so we can grow together. That's part of what I was told today is I'm growing away from him and I'm not growing towards him, and it's all about me, and that I'm trying to be open-minded and let this be something good for us, but I'm really scared that it won't. So I just want understanding of all the things that I've said to him. That's the one thing that really stuck out at me. It was a big aha moment is I just want you to understand. Because that's the problem is it doesn't matter how much I communicate and how much I try and work through things with him. If he doesn't understand, then I'm just beating my head against the wall. It's not my point of view, it's me. I just want him to understand me. I want to just be able to be myself and be authentic and not have to constantly think about what I'm doing or how he can perceive it, or I want to actually move on from the drama and indiscretions between the two of us and make something together. And I've been trying to do that, and hopefully this is the step, I guess, or the kick in the ass that he needs to understand and like actually look at, no, really, this is about us. This is about our relationship. It's always been about us. And, you know, I came up with this the other day is like, the whole point of me telling you about everything that had happened was me bringing it to you and saying, we're strong enough to face this. We're strong enough to get through this. And I want to be myself, and I want to be myself with you. You know, if it was just about me, why the hell would I have stayed? Why would I have told him about it? Why wouldn't I have just left?
Well, as far as continuing life afterwards, it's hard to find the trust that was there, that I thought was there. It's trying to regain the trust, knowing that she's still talking to the gentleman that she had the affair with. It's trying to regain the role of a partnership that I didn't realize I was failing at so badly. So it's the struggle of trying to figure out how I need to change to make it better and what needs to change to figure out if we can carry on. You're constantly questioning where she is, what she's doing, who she's talking to. There's just no safety to it anymore. I mean, I'm constantly questioning stuff. It's basically I crawl in my head and I run away with questions. So it's, it kind of wears on you because the suspicion's always there and then it never stops. It just doesn't. And when she's on her phone 90% of the time, there's like, I know it's work, but is it work? And it's just kind of, it's wearing. It's hard to be it's hard to try to grow back towards her with the lack of trust that's there. It's hard to do that. It's hard to co-parent with somebody that you don't 100% trust. It's hard to carry on a relationship when it seems like there's always something else in the background that's going on. As far as like livelihood ways, it's hard to concentrate when you're at work. It's hard to get enough sleep. It's wearing on your health. It's it's just constantly stressful. It's painful to a point. What relationships anymore? Just kind of hiding, not really doing anything, not really going anywhere, not really, it's just kind of, we've went into seclusion. We're not really doing anything. It's been trying to rebuild and be unsuccessful at it is getting to be a hard thing. There's no outside, like we don't really go and do anything anymore. A few times that we did try to have social activities this summer, it just kind of blew up in our faces. So it's one of those things. It's hard. They're so numerous, it's not even funny. Major one is learning the fear of what if we just can't make it work anymore? What if we're just gonna have to go our separate ways? That's like a huge fear. The second fear for me is the point blank know how I screwed up, what led to it, how I'm still carrying on doing wrong choices, wrong decisions, wrong actions. That's a lot of it. That's a major one, is the fear of how I led to this and how it's still carrying on, I guess. Because I never really wanted to end up like my dad, and I have a really great suspicion that that's the way I'm going, is that I'm turned into my dad, and that not knowing the father figure I should have, that I failed. I failed my mom. I failed my family. And to see just how far I have to dig to make it work, if I can make it work anymore.
Okay.
That's my fear. It's all on me because I'm the one that caused the issues to a point and that led to it, and we're just gonna go from there. Oh, one of it is to see if we're still salvageable, to see if we're still able to gather ourselves up, maintain a relationship, and stay committed to one another. That's my main goal, is to make sure that we can stay committed to one another. And the other part is to get a game plan on how we can stick to it, how we can continue to grow, how we can continue to learn, how to gain the trust back in each other.
Infidelity is not always caused by current events and stressors. Sometimes the seeds were planted years ago through unhealthy past relationship experiences. The type of relationships we have and how we start and end them influence our ideas of what is considered to be healthy, as well as what we expect from our future partners. Healthy past experiences lead to healthy outlooks. Unhealthy past experiences can set the stage for future failure and disappointment. So, before we talk about the infidelity, it is important for us to kind of get a little bit of history, because I really think in order for us to understand the infidelity, we need to look at it within a broader perspective. So I'm going to be asking you guys to tell me a little bit more about your relationship history before the infidelity, as well as previous relationship that you have had, and also a little bit of family of origin history, so that we can look at the big picture together. So let's start with past relationship history. So, can I start with you?
Sure.
Okay. How many long-term relationship have you had prior to this one?
What's your definition of long-term?
It's different for each person. It's how you define it. For some people, it's the type of commitment they made. For some people, it's the length. For some people, it's the quality. So really, whatever you view as significant.
Most of my relationships were long-term. The first guy I was with him for 2 years, I think, something like that.
Okay.
And then we broke up. I had a boyfriend in the middle. And then I was in another long-term relationship. I was with Cody for 2 years, and then Brian and I met when I was with Cody.
Okay. So let's start with the first one. How that relationship lasted for 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How old were you when you had that relationship?
I was 17 when we got together.
Okay. And how would you describe that relationship?
It was good at the time. Now I know it was really unhealthy.
Okay. So it was good at the time, but in retrospect, it was unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
What was unhealthy about it?
I think most of it was that we were just young. There's a lot of sexual dysfunction between the two of us.
Okay. In that relationship? Okay. Do you care to elaborate?
I can.
Okay.
I want to do it though. He was really fond of himself. It was really hard for me to please him.
Okay.
And a lot of really unhealthy things from that relationship.
Was there any infidelity in that relationship?
Not specifically. Closer to the end of that relationship, I found myself attracted to somebody who I'm still friends with, and they were never engaged. He asked me to marry him because his mommy told him to.
Yeah.
And I was attracted to this friend of mine, and I told him, I'm like, I want to explore this. I don't want to just be with you for the rest of my life and like not know anything else. You know, I want to take this opportunity. Basically, I'm gonna do it whether you like it or not. But I want your permission to do it. And I did it, and it was bad. It was bad.
So you wanted his permission to explore another relationship while you were still with him?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that he proposed to you because his mom suggested that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did he not want to propose, or you just...
Him and I talked about it. He had a lot of pressure on him from a couple different people in his life. When are you gonna snare her or whatever?
Okay.
When are you gonna make it official? Like you two
Okay.
been together. And
How old was he?
he's 6 months older than me, so at the time he was like 19.
Okay. So you're saying that exploring that other relationship was with his consent?
Sort of.
Okay. Elaborate on sort of, because it's either yay or nay, pregnant, not pregnant.
I told him I was gonna do it whether he really wanted me to or not, but I wanted his understanding.
Okay. But you did
And
not...
I don't know, I don't remember honestly if it was with his consent,
Okay.
but I kind of psyched myself out too of, the conditioning of the monogamous world that, well, if I have these feelings for somebody else, then I'm not as serious about him as I thought I was, and maybe I shouldn't marry him, or maybe it's not gonna work out if I can be attracted to this other person. And I pretty much talked myself out of it just from the conditioning of I'm not serious enough about him if there's this other person in my life that I'm attracted to.
Okay. So it was also an opportunity to explore your feelings.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did that relationship end?
When I went to college, I was 3 hours from him, and it kind of just faded out. He didn't really want me to go to college. He wanted me to come be with him, and I wasn't willing to give it up for him.
Okay.
So it kind of just faded out after that.
Okay. Then the next relationship.
I met Cody on campus. I don't know if I should. I guess it doesn't matter. Nobody knows their names. Quiet, fun. Once you got him to crack open, he was really fun. Shy kind of person. I'm attracted to the quiet people because I'm a watcher myself. I like to watch people. I like to get to know people. I like to talk to the people that nobody else seems to notice.
Okay.
And he was really conservative. He'd never even kissed anybody else in college. And him and I got together, and it was fun. It was really fun. It was like I liked being the first for everything for him, and it took 3 or 4 months for us to do anything physically together. So like there was a lot of growing together. It wasn't just teenage.
Sure. How long did that relationship last?
2 years.
Okay.
2.5.
And,
Clear through college.
okay. And how did it end?
Kind of the same way, actually. He the really conservative part of him. It was he was very clingy, very needy. I needed to be with him, and sharing a bed with my best friend, my little sister, was cheating to him. And all my guy friends, I've always gotten along better with men than I do other women. And hugging my guy friends and like relationships that I'd had before I even met him, were not okay to him, and he was threatened by my relationship with his best friend. Okay. And it got ugly between the two of us a couple times, because the night before his best friend's wedding, they did the bachelor party the night before, and he just laid his head on my shoulder and he's like, "Can I go to bed now?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on, I'll take you to bed." And I took him into the bedroom and got him all laid down, and I went out and I woke Cody up. I'm like, "Hey, I'm not planning on going to sleep, but if I fall asleep, I'm in Kurt's room. I'm trying to get him settled down." He's getting married in 7 hours at this point. And Cody threw a hissy fit and left, because I was trying to take care of his friend.
Okay. So he had problems with those relationships that were strictly platonic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine, I'd always been sort of attracted to him. Nothing really happened between the two of us, but I kissed him one night. He kind of dared me into doing it. He goaded me into it. It took me a couple weeks to tell Cody about it, and I legitimately felt like I had cheated on him, and it was a really big deal. And looking back on it now, I don't, it ate me alive for the while that it told me to tell him, and then I told him, and well, how could you do that? And just on and on about everything. And then I did the same thing. Well, if I have feelings like that, if I'm physically attracted to somebody, and he'd never asked me to marry him, I had a promise ring. That was what he did for me. I had a really pretty promise ring, and after that, Ryan and I started talking a lot more after that night, because Ryan got into it when Cody left.
Okay. So let me pause you here just to kind of summarize why that relationship with Cody ended. Good things so far stand out. One is that he had problems with any kind of friendships or relationship with males or females, even if they were platonic. It was an oversense of jealousy. Mm-hmm. And two is that you started to develop attraction to another individual, and felt that if you're having that attraction to somebody else while you're committed, then you probably should not be with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you also end up having the same kind of conversation of, I have attraction to this person, I need you to be okay with it? Okay.
No, not with him. It was, I couldn't handle him anymore. I couldn't handle the intensity of, I needed to be in his pocket for him to be happy.
Okay.
And
any other significant relationships that I need to know about before I ask Ryan about his history?
I have a couple really close male friends. Darren was the one in the middle between Matt and Cody, and he's the kind of person that I can just talk to. I could talk to him about anything. We would sit and talk for hours. After we all worked together, so we would go our separate ways after work, and then when it finally cooled off in the evening, we would all meet up at the little gas station there, and we'd hang out at the gas station all night. Just hang out and talk and have fun. And Em and I would just sit and talk for hours, and that seems to be my attraction trigger.
Okay.
Being able to be myself and talk to somebody and be understood. and him and I ended up together for a little while in between Matt and Cody, and then when I found Cody, I started, Darren and I drifted apart for a little while. And then now I talk to him once a week. He'll probably call sometime today, but I can't answer the phone, so.
Okay. Now, is it fair to say that, when you start a relationship, there is no pause in between? Usually you're in the midst of a relationship, then you develop attraction to somebody else, and they just kind of, there's no pauses?
Yeah, and that's something that him and I, Ryan and I fought over, is I don't want to jump. Like, I don't want to jump from one serious relationship to another, like.
Okay. But historically that has been the pattern, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, anything else before I talk about the history of relationships?
Did I miss anything important?
Okay. And we can always come back to it if something comes to mind.
The only thing that him and I talked about this. It's been a while. Tell me about your past relationships. Tell me about who you were with each one of them, and in the context of that conversation, and knowing what I know now and exploring the non-monogamous world and the poly kind of dynamic with him and I sitting there talking about it, it's like, wow, I've really kind of always been this way. And it was kind of an aha moment for me of, this is actually a personality trait of mine or whatever. And for me, that's the difference. I haven't, when I developed the attraction to somebody else,
Yeah.
I've always picked him and, no, this is what I want, this is what matters. And that's, instead of turning away from the relationship because, well, I'm not as serious about him as I feel like if I have this feeling for somebody, I made the decision this time that this is important, but obviously this is,
It's still going on the separate track.
this is a piece of me that I can't turn away from clearly, because this
Yeah.
I have this pattern in my life of.
And we'll talk about the poly in more details of what that means in the big picture for the two of you. Relationship history on your end. How many long-term relationship have you had?
Several short ones, but like my high school friend Sheila, we never dated. We were never. It was when we needed each other, we were around.
Okay.
That was. She would just show up to the house occasionally, and it's kind of one of those things where we were always together, always around, never really dated. She got into a bad relationship, and she was the one that she came to me for help, and it was kind of that's probably the longest relationship with a girl I've ever had, was her always being around.
Okay.
Was her, and then there was Claudia, and
How
Claudia.
long did that relationship last?
We never dated, so how do you classify it as a relationship?
Okay.
I mean, I met her when I was 15, and
Stayed in your life, or
she stayed in my life for a long, long time, like, till I moved to Colorado, and that took me 8, 9, 10 years or so before I was really never talked to her again.
Okay. And in what capacity she was in your life? Just infrequent, emotional, sexual, friendship, mixed?
Infrequent sexual. I don't know what the words should coincide with what she was, because it was like a
little sister more than anything else when it came right down to it.
Okay.
More protection than,
Then actual romantic partner.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I'd slept with her,
Okay.
and that was like 3 or 4 times, but
Okay.
it was never anything. It never evolved into a dating thing. It never
Okay.
evolved into long-term relationship. Anything like that. It was
Okay.
just was.
Okay.
The only other one was Claudia, and I was with her for 9 months to a year.
Okay.
And I didn't realize at the time when I first met her, she had lost a daughter. And after I got to know her, okay, it was obvious she was hurting and whatnot, and I was with her. And at that time, I was going through troubles in South Dakota, and I needed to go someplace to make money so I could get myself out of a hole. And
Financial troubles?
yeah. So it was a friend of ours, Charlie, said, "Hey, going to Colorado." I'm like, "We can do this. We can stay dating. I just gotta go. I gotta go." And I was there for 6 months before the first time I got to go home. And I'm like, "Hey, this is too long for you and I to be apart. And come along with me." And it's like, she just didn't want to go. So it was like, "No, this is home. You can just come back here." "No, I like it there. I like it where I'm at. I like what I'm doing." And we just,
Can I make that work?
yeah, we just couldn't make it work. So it was just easier to, it was easier to just walk away than it was anything else.
Okay. So was it mutual in a sense?
Not really. It was me just not wanting to put her through the fact that, hey, I'm at that time 14 hours away. I can't come back for you. I can't afford to come back for you. I can't. It was just, I couldn't. So it was just easier to step back, step away a little bit, and just lay off.
Okay. Was there any infidelity in that relationship?
No.
Okay.
No.
Any other significant relationship that you know about? History?
No, not really. There's just been several little ones. There's never anything consistent, never anything.
What's the one you introduced me to in Denver?
Angie? Angie wasn't very long.
It still counts.
That was one of the little ones. Angie was a hairstylist that I saw in, well, I was going to technical school. I ran with her for a couple months, maybe, if that.
Okay.
The version that I asked is the way that you responded to her when you introduced me to her.
Okay. It's important to you, so I can list her, Angie. No problem with it.
Why did that register for you?
He's not the clinging, hey, this is mine kind of type,
Okay.
really, especially not at that point in our relationship. And when I walked back up to him, they were talking, he grabbed me and he brought me over in front of him and kind of like next to him, and he goes, "This is my wife." And the way he said it kind of perked me up, like, why is that, like,
Important.
because normally it's, "Hey, this is Mia,"
Yeah.
you know, not, "This is my wife,"
Yeah.
you know?
You know, I actually remember the reason I did it now. It was pride. That was like the first person that we hadn't been married for that long. And it was the first person in Deadwood.
So.
First person like from South Dakota that I'd actually gotten to introduce somebody to. And yeah, Angie was had been important at one time in my life, but it was more like, oh hey, see what I have?
Yeah.
This is mine. Fine.
From listening to Maria's relationship history, we learned that she has always felt the need to be in a relationship with someone while simultaneously having the desire to explore meaningful connections with others. We also learned that her past partner's discomfort with her desire for exploration has caused a lot of conflict, and the attempts of expressing their discomfort was interpreted as being controlling. We also begin to learn about some of the qualities that Maria finds desirable in a partner. When we listen to Ryan's relationship history, we learn that he is less experienced in comparison to Maria, and he never had the opportunity to practice being in a clearly defined long-term relationship with intention and stability, meaning there were not many opportunities to figure out who he is and what kind of a partner and type of relationship that is best suited for him. Now that you have heard both of their relationship histories, I want you to keep that in mind while you continue learning about their journey and to what extent these past experiences have contributed to the relationship struggles they have already encountered and the potential obstacles they might face in their attempts for recovery. Until then, be well, be safe, and embrace the possibility for a brighter future.